I'm really thrilled today on Your Brand Amplified to have Brian Winch, who is an owner operator of a company that started as a side hustle and most recently an author. But I'm not going to tell you Brian's story myself. I'm going to let him share it. So Brian, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm really happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. Um,
Same.
so, so yeah, I guess where should I start? At the very beginning.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how you started your journey, what you used to do, how you got into your side hustle and turned it into what it is today. And I know that's a lot, so I'll ask questions in between.
Well, that's good, but I tend to ramble, so I could be talking for a while. So maybe I'll cover a lot of those questions. So before I catch my breath. So, so we'll start way back in 1981. I was working as a shipper receiver. I was 21 years old. And looking at different things, what was I going to do with my life? I barely graduated high school. I didn't go to college. And so I was always kind of working these retail jobs. And at the time in 1981, I was working as a shipper receiver for a large sporting goods company. And I didn't see, myself doing that for the rest of my life. And besides that, with my lack of education, there wasn't really much opportunity for me to advance. So I remembered my dad. He was a janitor in the public school system, and he had various side hustles going all the time to supplement the family income. He would cut grass in the summer, shovel snow in the winter, and he also cleaned up litter year round from the parking lot of a nearby shopping plaza. And growing up, he would take my brothers and I along with him, to kind of help out. When we were younger, we didn't really give him that much help. But when I was a young teen, probably 14, 15, he'd taken me along with him one morning before he went to work and I went to school to help him clean up litter from a shopping plaza. And I remember that it was almost as easy to do as going for a walk. I mean, we didn't have to, bend over and pick up or handle any of the stuff. We used these collection tools where we would just walk the sidewalks, parking lot, surrounding landscape, and sweep the item into our litter collection tools. And when they were full, we would empty them into a waste dumpster on site. And he would do this on a daily basis. So it was just maintaining the property. There wasn't a big accumulation of material every day, but we were done in basically the time it took to walk the property.
Wow.
And so anyhow, that I remember that. And unfortunately, he had just passed away. So I didn't have his contacts, his experience, other than the memory of helping him do this. So I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I've got a full-time job. Before I quit it, let's continue to use the income to pay for my living expenses, and let's see if I can do this on the side and turn it into a full-time business. So I did that for probably about 2-3 months, or several weeks anyhow, and it got to the point where I was making more money doing this on the side than I was working this full-time job. So,
oh my gosh.
So as soon as I got to that, it was a no-brainer for me. I quit my job and then continued to grow the business to a successful one-man operation. And then, one where we brought more people in. And over the years, I mean, I guess that first year I probably did, this goes back to 1981, 82. So I think I did $10,000 my first year. And now we routinely bill out close to $700,000 a year every year, just from cleaning up litter.
Wow. Wow. And this goes to show that people don't think about anything as a job. Everything is a job that's needed, including somebody to pick up the litter that other people leave.
Yeah. And, there's always going to be a need for it. I mean, I've been doing it for over 40 years. If there's what's that saying? If there's one thing for sure in life, it's death and taxes. Well, you can add litter to that.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a demand for the service. And I stepped in. I feel that demand. I survived recessions. Recently, the pandemic, we were considered to be an essential service. And of course, when people started tossing their used masks in parking lots,
Oh
nobody
boy.
wanted to see that
Yeah.
stuff. And so, like I say, it's no big deal for us because we don't handle or touch any of these items. We safely sweep it up into our tools and empty it into waste dumpsters. And so, if anything, it just reminded our clients, if more than ever, the need to maintain their properties litter free.
Yeah. And I do think, especially during the pandemic, I mean, still today, you see people littering masks, different places. And then I don't remember exactly where you're from. So that's one of my questions for you. But I'm out here in California and the homeless problem got even worse during
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pandemic. And so that just adds more litter and more stuff to the streets. And I know obviously that's a little bit of a different issue, but it
yeah.
still contributes to when you walk outside, do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? And I think having clean areas, right? Clean, well lit, it makes you want to go someplace. It makes you think, okay, here's some place that I can feel safe and that I can belong and that my car will be safe in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I can walk to and from. But if a place has trash all over, it's not that same feeling.
That's right. And and you are right in what you've seen in your city. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Mm, mhm.
We're about 1.3 million, but we've noticed that. And we know with the number of homeless shelters, I mean, during the pandemic, they didn't want to crowd all of these people in.
Yeah.
So, because they were taking the precautions, not to, to keep, social distancing and et cetera, et cetera. So they started opening up other shelters throughout the city, and these people were kind of spreading out beyond,
Mhm.
like, let's say the downtown core into different neighborhoods that, and quite frankly, people had never seen the homeless or homelessness is being an issue until these people moved into the community. And so, yeah, it's a problem everywhere. I mean, we doesn't matter how nice or unnice the neighborhood is.
Mhm.
There is more of this issue where more people are creating a mess and littering, besides just the people that are tossing the masks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it just highlights the need for a service such as ours.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, we've done really well the last couple of years.
Mhm. So you talked about your father had taken you along with him. And I grew up in Kansas, and I remember my parents walked the school parking lot because we lived right by the high school in the country, and they would walk and pick up cans and things like that growing up. And so I'm feeling very nostalgic hearing how you started your business and the experience that you had with your father. And it was really fantastic that you could then see that as an opportunity to continue, his legacy in some ways. But
Yeah.
even though you didn't have the connections, you didn't have access. So how did you transfer it to, oh, this is something that I did with my father. I don't have his connections. I can't access them now, but I'm going to see how I can do this. So how did you get your first client?
Okay. Well, all I knew was that he dealt with property managers.
Mm,
Because every once in a while he would take a phone call at home. And one time I was wondering, well, who was that, Dad? And he said, oh, it's my client. He owns the property, and actually he self manages his own property. So I remember, okay, well, your prospects would be property management companies. So there was no internet back then.
right.
There was the big, thick telephone directory, the yellow pages.
Yep.
And so I just started flipping through the yellow pages until I got to property management companies. And I just decided, okay, well, let's test the market. And at the same time, I was developing these skills, my elevator pitch and learning what worked and what didn't work, or the school of hard knocks, or trial and error, what worked, what didn't work. And so I quickly refined an elevator pitch and realized that these people are busy and I need to stress the benefits, sell the
Mhm.
benefits of my service. Hey, I can give you a cleaner, litter-free property for less money. I'd like to share how I can do that, send you some more information. So I just did this with cold calling. There was no computers. So it was the telephone. So would talk to these people. And so I remember I spoke with maybe 3 or 4 5 people, and then all of a sudden the person I'd contacted. He said, you know, Brian, this is amazing that you just contacted us. We just had a meeting. We wrapped up this morning. We aren't happy with the service provider that we currently use to clean up 3 of our properties. Would you be interested? And I said, of course I'd be interested. So I got the addresses. I went out there, took a look at them, and came up with what I felt was fair pricing. And so ultimately your customer decides if it's a good price. And so I gave it to him, and he said, yeah, no, that seems fair. When can you start? And so I started probably in about 2 or 3 weeks after I contacted him. And so then I started doing the work after I got off work. I mean, I was working a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift. So I would go out after work and
Wow.
clean the properties, and most of the businesses, if not all of them, were closed. So I had the whole parking lot, clean slate, to clearly see and clean everything that was on the site. And then in the morning, I would get up and start doing some of the cold calling again, or prospecting, and getting better with more experience. And then, like I say, it just took a few months later doing this, and before I was able to quit my job, and I've been doing it full time ever since.
Amazing. And how were you able to transition once technology started getting faster and faster, and we were able to start using, because I will be honest, my first job in high school was cold calling people from the phone book to get their carpets cleaned. So again, nostalgia for those days of the pre-internet days, and how we see technology changing so much every day, and new methods of advertising, promoting our businesses. Yep. So you already had your core business established for quite a while before the advent of the internet and being able to use these other modalities. So did you start shifting towards using some of those resources to promote your company and find new clients?
Well, I mean, pretty much had to, because you have to be where your clients are, or your prospects are. You have to make it easier for people to find you and communicate with you. So I remember one of our clients, I guess in the 80s, he had one of the first generation cell phones. It
Wow.
was just massive and heavy. And I remember the battery was about the size of a briefcase, that whenever he had to recharge it. And but it didn't take long after that, where then the flip phones came out and everything. So yeah, I mean, then we had to get computers. I mean, desktop. I still prefer a desktop computer to do my work. And so you communicate with people on your cell phones, or email, or text, and everything like that. But when it comes to marketing the business, I have to tell you, there's never been an easier time, or it's so much easier now than when I started, because I mean, you've got things like LinkedIn. With my business, it's a B2B. So where are my prospects, or where are my customers? They're on LinkedIn. They've got profiles. So you can set up a personal profile and set up a company page, and start sharing content, and reach out to people. Hey, can I connect with you? And perhaps we can be of mutual service to each other, etc. Grab your free Google My Business listing. It's amazing how many people spend a fortune on a website, but they never claim the low-hanging free fruit. And Google My Business acts like as a mini website. You can share content, but more importantly, with having that profile, if a prospect is doing an online search for your service or product, you're going to show up in search. So instead of advertising, we used to pay for telephone ads. Like, we used to display ads in the telephone directory and hope somebody would come across our ad. But nowadays, I mean, we don't advertise it. We spend a few dollars every month, because our service is so niche. We know who our customers are. They're property management companies. So pretty much, and we eventually did create a website several years ago. So all of those things act as a magnet to attract prospects to us. But then, because we've been in business for such a long time, A lot of our customers we've had for 20, 30 years because they appreciate the service we provide, but also we go a little bit extra, the extra mile, and we provide some extra services like reporting when we're cleaning the properties. If we notice property damage, somebody's
Right.
dumped
Mhm.
off a mattress, there's fresh graffiti, some of the lights are burnt out. We communicate with our clients by taking a picture
Mhm.
and then sending that to them first thing in the morning so they can see with their own eyes, what the issue is, and read our text and quickly jump on it and deal with it. And so that helps cement the relationship they have with us. And if anything, they're going to want to do more business with us because they get that we make their job easier. They get
Yeah.
that extra communication. We go that little extra distance to make sure they're happy.
Yeah. And you've talked about several things that are really important in branding and your brand identity, right? So you figured out a problem that was happening in your area. You had a solution ready for people, including being a quick service, being very professional, having the right price point, and going above and beyond to make sure that they really understood that you were you were giving that extra level of service. And then you get reviews through Google My Business and in other places, which adds that third party validation that who you say you are is who you are and how you operate.
Right. Right. And we've been really successful with that business, and with my background, because with not having that much money to start the business,
Yeah.
and not a lot of skills, or I developed the skills from doing them. I thought this would be a fabulous business opportunity for other people that would be interested in seeing the results of their work and
Mhm.
feeling good what their how their business is affecting the community, and enjoy working outdoors. So I came up with the idea of sharing this, but very affordably. I didn't want. There's no need to franchise it and charge people royalty fees
Hmm.
and etc. for the rest of their life. I mean, it's a simple service, and I wanted to honor the memory of my dad by
Wow.
making this as affordable as possible for people that didn't have a lot of money, or don't have a lot of money, just like I didn't when I started out. So I created the book, Clean Lots, America's Simplest Business.
You are perfectly segueing into what my next set of questions were. So yeah, because I know that you didn't have a lot of money to start the business. So I was going to ask what kind of tools you needed.
Yeah.
And you were a one-man show to start. How was that exhausting? How long did it take you to start hiring more people to help with your business?
Well, the tools, I mean, the great thing about this business, I mean, you can operate from home. I mean, you don't need any big space. You don't have big equipment like street sweepers, because that's not the service we provide. We don't
Mhm.
sweep parking lots. We provide an on-foot litter pick service
Mhm.
where we walk the entire property, besides the parking lot, the sidewalks, the landscape, clean up
Wow.
litter everywhere. And we do that with a simple tool that makes the cleanup almost as easy to do as going for a walk. I mean, all we do is and if you're curious to see what this tool is, I mean, if you go to my website later on, you can see a 3-minute video that shows me walking a property and cleaning it up, and you'll seeing is believing. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about after you've seen that video. But yeah, the tool makes the job easy to do. And so, yeah, I mean, we were doing that, and then we brought other people in because there are people that want to make extra money. We pay
Mhm.
them really well, so they enjoy the work and they enjoy the money they make. And again, some of these people have been working for us for well over 20 years,
Yeah.
and it's a win-win situation. They get the work that they can do in the morning before they go to their full-time jobs, and in some cases, these people they're satisfied with that. They're content just to make an extra, $2,000 or $3,000 a month working for us part-time. But then other people, they work for us full time because they don't want to,
Yeah.
they didn't want their job and they like this, far more. So, and the same applies to people that buy my book. The motivation is different for everyone. Some people
Mhm.
want to keep it as a side hustle, and some people want to eventually, hey, I can scale this from a side hustle up into a six-figure business, just like Brian did.
Amazing. And that was going to be one of my other questions, was about the model and the franchising, or if you had moved to other cities, and you answered that perfectly, because we were going to talk about your book.
Well, I can read your mind.
Yes, obviously. So you wrote the book, and it lays out kind of step by step how you can start this kind of business, and it includes marketing tools, the actual tools that you'll need for picking up, basically all of the knowledge that you've picked up and developed over the last 40 years in this business.
Yeah, and I mean, I share all sorts of tips in the book. Claim your Google My Business listing, and a lot of people think, oh, if I need a dedicated business phone, I got to go out and get a different phone. Well, you don't. There's different different services or subscriptions, like with Google, for example. It's possible, or they make it possible, where you can get a second number that goes directly to the one phone that you have, and it's a different ringtone. So how the phone rings. One is your personal, and the different ringtone is for business. So you can answer the phone appropriately.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because that's something I haven't set up, but it's been on my mind. Like, I need to have another number other than my cell phone to keep things like a little bit separated. Yeah. So when you started this business, I know that you had the experience with your father. You were looking for something else to do. You knew that what you were doing at age 21 was not what you wanted to do the rest of your life. But were you passionate about it? Because now I hear the passion, but were you like, oh, I'm very passionate about making sure that people have clean parking lots and clean areas?
No, that's a great question. I wish more people would ask me that. But to tell you the truth, when I started the business, it was something I knew I could do. I was willing to do. I had no problem cleaning up. Maybe it's in my blood, because, like I said, my dad was a janitor. Yeah. And so, I mean, I thought it's no big deal, but I wasn't passionate with wanting to get out there and make my communities better at that time. Yeah. But eventually I grew to really enjoy what I was doing. I mean, I love the benefits the business brought for me, working my own hours. I love working outdoors. I love seeing the results of my work after I leave a property. But then, to be honest, it kind of ticked me off in the early years to see how much litter. And in some cases, people would litter right in front of me. And wow. When I was younger, I would say say something, and then I learned, it's not worth it. Whatever I see isn't going to change their habits. And then after a few years, let me back up again too. After doing this for about 4 years, I was 24, and I was seeing some of my friends who had gone to college, and they were starting some of these high-profile jobs and occupations. And I started to get caught in the glamour. Oh, it must be great to be a lawyer. It must be great to work in the oil business, or et cetera, et cetera. And then I was kind of looking down at the service I was providing. But then I realized, well, someone's got to do it. And I'm making my community a cleaner place, a safer place. And I love working outdoors. Hey, there's nothing wrong with this service. I look forward to doing it every day. So what's my problem? And that's when I realized, look, I don't care, if someone says, oh, some people have commented when they see me cleaning up, hey, buddy, get a real job, thinking I'm a bum. Wow. And the more people that think that means more money in my pocket.
This is true. Now, Calgary, home of the Stampede, also gets very cold and snowy. And I imagine this is a job you have to do in any kind of weather.
It is. It doesn't matter if it rains, snow, shine. It gets cold. We have long winters, but we don't get a lot of snow.
Oh, okay.
It tends to melt. We get a lot of Chinooks. Excuse me. We get these warm winds that come down from the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains.
Okay. Wow.
And it can literally warm up like 10 or 15 degrees in one day from the next.
Wow. Interesting. So what are some other ways that you think somebody can start a business without having necessarily a lot of knowledge, a lot of money, a lot of resources?
Another business?
Yeah. So what are some other things that you've seen people do, perhaps inspired by you, or things that you have been inspired by that you didn't take that path, but there are other businesses that you could see somebody do perhaps as easily as starting cleaning up lots?
Oh, well, like for offline businesses like such as mine or a service,
Mhm.
there could be pressure washing, all sorts of other cleaning businesses.
Mm.
Um, you know, landscape businesses where you cut the grass. Excuse me. I just got a real dry
Sure.
throat here.
Yeah. We'll take a pause.
Okay, well, hopefully, yeah, that tickle is going to go away. So,
I understand. Don't worry. And we can edit it out. So that's not an
okay,
issue at all.
okay, okay. I should be good to go. I
Okay.
won't think about it.
Oh, so this has been a really inspiring conversation, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about what continues to inspire you and motivate you to continue your business after all this time, to start helping others in a very cost-effective manner by providing them with a book that has all of your knowledge in it for them to start their own business. What
Yeah,
continues
well,
to, yeah.
yeah. I just feel like I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm 62. I'd like to give back. I'd like to honor the memory of my dad. This is a great opportunity for a lot of people across the country
Mhm.
that they can get involved with very little money. And I also offer free support. A lot of people say that's unheard of. Brian, you're
Yeah.
nuts. But I'll be honest. I mean, everyone who buys my book, it doesn't mean they're going to start the business.
Mhm.
At the price point that I'm selling it for, there's a lot of people that collect, various information. They'll buy this book about, mortgage lending, or they'll buy this about that.
Hmm.
And they do that with good intentions. One of these days I'll start something when I would decide I really hate my job.
Mm.
But then there's other people that right away when they buy the book, I want to get started on this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I enjoy talking to people, helping them out, and hearing their success stories. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you one example. I've a student, or whatever, someone who bought my book probably 3-4 years ago. He was a school teacher, and he was looking for a way to make extra money
Mhm.
during the summer months. And he bought my book and started out. And he kind of struggled at first, so he reached out to me, and I helped him out, and then kind of his business kind of took off. And then so that was 3 or 4 years ago. Well, now, and last summer he quit his job as a school
Wow.
teacher. He
Oh my
couldn't do
gosh.
it anymore. There was too much. So now, a year later from last year,
Mhm.
recently I was speaking with him. He has over 300 properties. He operates in probably 6 states.
Oh my gosh.
And he's glad he took the chance and bought the book. And more than that, he reached out to me, and I provided the free support. And the great thing for me, I mean, the feeling that I've done something good for him and his family, but also, I'll be selfish. I get a great testimonial.
This is true. And it is unheard of. Usually people do one call for free, and then after that, you'd be getting paid to coach them
Yeah.
through this business opportunity.
Yeah. Well,
That
and
is,
you know what? There's all sorts of different models too. Like they're saying,
mhm,
Brian, you should sell this for $997 as a course online.
mhm,
But you know what? Then it's beyond the price point, quite frankly, for a lot of people that are interested in this
yeah.
business. I mean, a lot of people that want to start a simple cleaning business. I mean, you can, what's the saying that, I mean, fortunes have been made from these cleaning businesses, but really you can get into a lot of these with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to do the work. And so I wanted to keep it really affordable. And beyond the book, I do offer some other business building tools, if you will.
Yeah.
So some people will just buy the book. That's all you need to do to get started. Other people will buy some of the other not courses, but business building videos or what have you, that they can use to aid them in their marketing, make the business easier, because I actually use a lot of this stuff too, so I know it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the best testament. You've used it, you've tried it, you know it works, and then you can share it with others. And that was actually my next, again, you're reading my mind. What's next for you? What else, what are the offshoots of your brand? So people can purchase business building tools from you as well to help really, I mean, they have the book, they get the book to jumpstart, but then they have those to really start getting the promotion out there.
That's
and
right.
Understand how to start the business.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. And then that answers some of my critics who say, Brian, you gotta offer more than just the book. And so, I do that. Originally, it was just the book. And then some people were reaching out to me, Brian, is there anything else you can do? Or you do have some images you can share? I mean, I just started this business. I don't have any video. I don't have images for my, Google My Business listing. Do you have stuff like that? And I said, well, you know what? Yeah, no, I could offer that, but it's going to cost you a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, it's affordable. All of these little other upsells, if you will, they're less than the cost of the book. So,
Wow.
and it's just my way of going a little bit further. And that's what you have to do if you're in business these days. It doesn't matter if you're selling a product or service, is go the extra distance, offer some extra, whatever you can do to help cement that relationship and get more people coming back and wanting to buy and do more business with you and buy more things from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you envision yourself doing this business for the next 20 years, the next 40 years, if you should live that long? Are you going to be passing it on, selling it?
Well, you know what? I don't have a date circled on the calendar.
Yeah.
If I was working for someone, like my wife is an employee, and she's always said, Brian, I don't know how you could work for yourself. I mean, I just don't have that mentality. And not everyone wants to work for themselves or can. But she's counting the days down. She's younger than me, and so she'd like to retire at 65. So, but I've told her, well, you know what, I can, because I'm self-employed, I can just cut back the number of hours I work even further. But I don't foresee a time where I'll quit cold turkey, as long as I have my health. I enjoy getting out early in the mornings and going for a walk and getting paid to do it.
Yeah, it keeps you active.
Exactly.
So,
So
that's we all need.
Hopefully I stay healthy from doing what I do.
Exactly. That's amazing. So Brian, what's the easiest place for people to find out more about you, buy your book, buy the other resources, get some free mentoring and coaching from you?
Well, best place is to visit my website, cleanlots.com. And like I say, on the homepage, there is a free report people can grab. Is this the right opportunity for you?
Nice.
And, it answers a lot of questions. Then on the second page of my website, the opportunity page, there is that 3-minute video where you can click it and see me using my tool, going for a walk in a parking lot and cleaning it up. And, the website is full of information, other podcasts have been on, commonly asked questions and answers. So yeah, you get a lot of information on the website, cleanlots.com.
Fantastic. And is there anything that we've left out that you wanted to talk about, that you wanted to share with the audience?
You know what, I would just say, if you're looking at different things, if you're contemplating working for yourself, you're looking at various business opportunities or side hustles, don't chase the money. Don't get involved for the wrong reasons. I mean, there's a lot of scams out there and they sell the glamour, like, oh, you know what? You can work 5 minutes a day in your PJs and make $50,000 a month. And, the only people making that maybe are the people selling those programs,
right? Right.
But, do an evaluation of your likes, dislikes, your skill set. What would you like to do? What can you see yourself doing? Do you want to work indoors? Do you want to provide a service outdoors? And then eventually, you'll narrow it down to a list of some ideas,
Yeah.
and then that way, you have to have some passion or a liking for what you're doing, because you're going to run into some problems. And if you like what you're doing and you want to see it work, you're going to find a solution to that problem and move on. If you don't, and you've gotten into an opportunity for the wrong reasons, like, the promise of making all this money,
Mm,
and but you're more likely to give up or quit if you run into a problem. So, do it for the right reasons.
yeah, that's really important. It has to be kind of a marriage of your passion and your skill set, and your capacity and capability.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people, to your point, get started in entrepreneurship because they like doing something. They're like, well, I'm really good at this. I can run the business side too, but running the business side is very different than doing that actual piece of work.
Well, and you know what? And you have to wear many hats,
Hmm.
but you don't need to know everything.
Hmm.
You've got strengths. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has weaknesses. So,
Right.
the great thing about being an entrepreneur, if you need some help with the bookkeeping and the accounting, you can have someone else do that.
Exactly.
It's
Hmm.
always good to have a basic understanding that you can learn. But,
Hmm.
same thing when it comes to marketing. If you don't like, doing social media marketing or whatever, there's agencies out there where you can have them do that for you. You're
Yeah.
going to pay for it, but then it frees up your time to, to focus on what you do really well. And a lot of these things you learn from doing, and then you find out, what, it's not really that difficult. I can do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, are there any last words of wisdom, a favorite quote or mantra that you follow?
Yeah, well, you know what, I I tell this to a lot of people, and especially the people that are make use of my free support,
Mhm.
and maybe they're struggling, and success isn't coming to them quite as fast as they'd like.
Mhm.
I just tell them, look, keep at it, be patient, passionate, and persistent. And if you work your business will work for you. But if you
Right.
stop, as soon as you stop and you're frustrated, and you know what happens, everything stops. You won't get, you get nothing if you do nothing. But I tell people, your goal is to get that first contract, that first building,
Mhm.
and then it all scales and builds from there. And then you'll get your second, your fourth, and your 12th, and yeah, however many you want. Because the great thing about our clients, property management companies, they manage more than one property. I mean,
Mhm.
they manage multiple buildings. So if they're happy with what you're doing for them, at that first property, they're going to, contact you and say, hey, we've got more properties. Are you interested?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian. Really enjoyed our conversation. You're very inspiring. I love that you just decided to try something and you went all in. You learned everything along the way very organically. You had to do it yourself. And look at your success now and the fact that you're giving back to so many people. So this is I love these conversations. It's so inspiring for me to hear your story. And I'm gonna be smiling the rest of the day. So thank you. Thank
Well,
you for
thank
adding
you.
that to my life.
I'm
And
glad I could do that.
yeah, and we will of course share all of the information on how to reach you, how to buy your book in our show notes. And thank you to our audience for coming back for another week of Your Brand Amplified. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you.